Hi, everyone, and welcome to Mystic Revolution. And we are in the final couple episodes of our wonderful season 3 Conscious Creation. Susana and I are so glad you're here. And I believe today we're talking about healing the body. Ho ho. But first, let's play meditation. So let's notice and tune into our inner world. If it's safe, let's go ahead and close your eyes. And if you'd like to use the metaphor of putting a sun, an sun, representing your source above your head, maybe like at the ceiling level, and asking that sun to shine in and through and around you with golden light, and then shining all the way down to the center of the earth, consciously connecting you to your source and the light in you, through you, as you, and also blessing your connectedness from your body all the way to the heart of the earth, noticing that you're one with spirit and you're one with the earth. Your body's one with the earth. Let's ask that warm honey gold light to be melting away like water, warm water melting ice. Warm rays of the sun melting away everything that is less comfortable in your body, in your soul, melting down to the earth and supplanting that with beautiful golden light in your body and your soul. And when you're ready, you can move around if you want to be, but you can just keep meditating along as we start chatting.
Yeah, so today we're going to talk about healing the body. And I think this fits really well in the overarching conscious creation conversation
Mm-hmm.
because I do feel we can play a more conscious role in our own healing. And so that's sort of the premise of this. And it really, I mean, something that you love to say and talk about is embodying it, like being connected in the body. We are a spirit in a body, like all of it being connected. And I know for myself, when I have had problems, I have been out of alignment of that. And for a variety of reasons. But I thought we just start there. I know we have our both have our own stories of physical healing in doing this work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I do want to say about like really being with the body and noticing we're embodied. Like I found that I pretty much consistently am teaching what I need to learn. So I'm consistently teaching body relationship and body communication and bringing attention to where things are off in the body and what is that saying to us, like really tuning
Mhm.
in and getting that information and seeing not just what the issue is but what is it telling us and what are the needs and can we make agreements. I'm like that is a regular thing in my repertoire, and there's a reason for it, and the reason
Yeah,
is because like I am continually challenged to go more and deeper in that direction too.
yeah. And that makes calls to mind. I mean, I got more into the practice of that after coming to this, and it was a physical ailment or a physical thing that brought me actually to this practice, which I can share about in a minute. But it makes me think of the Louise Hay's book, Heal Your Life,
Mm-hmm.
um, which really dials into specific symptoms, specific things, and the possible emotional, energetic,
Mm-hmm.
psychological things behind them. And I think it's wonderful to have a book as a roadmap. But to your point, right, we can check in with our own bodies. We can check in and uh, go deeper, right? Like what's behind this pain that's going on? What's behind, you
Mm-hmm.
know, this illness that I'm grappling with, and get some things to work with.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, there's a lot of roadmaps, and there's a lot of like, this is what this means. And like, I just say, just like everything else, let's take that lightly. Let's be informed by it
Yeah,
and be like, oh, if you have shoulder problems, that means you're taking on too much responsibility. Oh, if you have, yeah, maybe. It's a place to start. It's a
it's
place
a
to
place to
inquire.
start.
If I don't have a really good communication going with my body, it's a place to start to inquire and start to play. Also, there's so many other ways, but given that there's no is, maybe it's like it's responsibility and
Right.
something else. Like what I find for myself and so many that I do that kind of work with, like once we get the body talking, it's just like a teenage girl or something. Once you get the right, once you get the kid talking, you've got them in the car and you're going on a drive and they start talking, however old they are, get
Mhm.
that, and then she said another, right? Like once we get the body talking, it tends to want to keep talking because there's a lot of stuff it wants to say that I haven't been listening to. Right.
Yeah.
So like it's like, yeah, there's the shoulder, and by the way, let's look at this hip, and by the way, let's look at the right. It's just it goes on and on, and can I stay with it? Just like the teenage girl, can I stay with it while she's telling this long story about whatever? Can I stay with it? Because that builds the body relationship. It's like, I'm here for you, honey.
Oh, I love that. I'm here for you, honey. So often, right, when we've got something going on in the body, the last thing we want to do is pay attention to it, right? Like
I
that's the thing you want to get rid of. I want to get rid
Yes.
of, I hate the tumor in my
Hate
body. I
it.
want to get rid of it. I
Yes.
hate that I have these seizures. I hate that my back hurts. Like, give me
Yes.
something to like get out of my body so I don't have to pay attention to it. And I'm
Yes.
not saying there's anything wrong with that. Like, if it's okay to do that every once in a while, it is, especially,
Yeah.
right?
Well, it's
Um,
what I do all the time. So shut up.
but to your point about building the relationship, I mean, I've talked about this story before, but like having a lump under my jaw, and like how I was like, I really like, I just, I hated it. Like, why the heck do I
Yes.
have this kind of thing? Um, and then something along the way, I was doing a lot of energy healing, a lot of
Yeah.
work. And working with doctors, and that wasn't, whatever. But I suddenly it dawned on me, like, wow, I'm being so mean. I'm being so mean in my
Yeah.
language.
Yeah.
And so then I shifted, and I was like, well, what if it was a friend? What if, like, and I like to say, I do believe like every cell in our body has a consciousness. If that is true, how would you talk to a conscious thing or being that was struggling?
Yes.
You wouldn't be trying to like cut it off or like push it in a corner or,
Mhm.
whatever. You
Hit
would
it with a
be
club, make it wrong, and hate it.
tending to it. Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. And that shifted everything for me. And I mean, I think you know it's something to think about, when we're facing things, whether it's an injury or illness, treating ourselves, our body, the part that is hurt, as a little child or as a respected elder, right?
Hmm.
How would you treat that person, or that, that in that way?
Yeah. And what I like to say is, in our relationship with our body, like, because I'm so mean to my body, I don't listen. I pull it through stuff that's just ridiculous. I ask it to do too hard of things, to say, just do that. I don't care. But when I'm more in my right mind, um, it's like, can I treat my body like a lover that I love,
A
like
lover that I love.
a
Yeah.
companion animal that I love, a child that I love, as you said. It's just like that really helps me because it really turns on the head what I'm thrown to do with my own body, which is shut up, put up, go. I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
Right. And then it gets worse. It screams louder. And I'm just like, I'm not enjoying this. You're bad and wrong. Stop it. Instead of actually being like, oh, there's a thumbtack in your foot. Maybe we can take that out.
Yeah.
It's like I'm doing the opposite of what's needed. Not all the time, obviously, but like I'm grown to do that.
Yeah. Yes, I understand that. And, I think when we can sort of shift our perspective that way, like it also can take off a little bit of the edge of fear and anxiety, right? Now, my focus is on being tender. My focus is on being caring. Um, and when I'm in fear and anxiety, that tends to separate me. That's when, my sort of body and mind kind of get separated.
Hmm.
And we've talked about this before. Sometimes like it is that when we get disconnected from the body, I mean, there's the thing that's going on that we don't want to pay attention to. Then we get disconnected from the body. It becomes sort of an us versus them thing. Um,
Yes.
we get out of the body, and then the body, we've got our own anxious or fearful thoughts, but the body tunes into that. But it's also kind of going, okay, wait, where are you and who's driving? Like, what's going on, right? It's like it can happen that we abandon ourselves,
Yes.
abandon our body because of whatever um, pain or malady or injury or whatever else is going on. I mean, emotional pain too, for sure. But I mean,
Oh,
we're
for
talking,
sure.
right? But we're
Hmm.
talking about healing the body. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, Gosh, there's so much in what you just said. One, I want to say, you talk about the us versus them that gets set up with our body. In our tradition, we have a word for it. We call it spirit body competition. And it's like spirits, the spiritual perspective within us is just like, I don't know what your problem is, just get with the program, but not actually handling it.
Yeah.
And the body's just like, F you. Or whatever's happening. It's something to pay attention to because bodies are bodies and they act like bodies and they need attention. They need care. They need, right. And who's setting that up? It's our soul spirit, whatever dance that's responsible to care for the body.
Yeah.
And I so often am just like, all right, body, just come on. I don't want to hear it.
Well, and then that can also be, the fear mind, right? Like if I know I have something and it's deemed dangerous or
Right.
something, right?
Right. It's got a name and
Then
it's
my
scary.
mind starts going like this, and then it's like, oh my gosh, what does this mean? I need to know what to do. What could happen down the line? What's going to
Hmm.
happen to my family? I mean, it gets all spun out, which takes us away from the body. Now, all of these things are normal concerns and they're super valid. I'm not saying they aren't.
Right.
And allowing ourselves to acknowledge and validate that, but then coming back, right? I think this is so important when we're in a recovery or healing, pulling ourselves back to the present moment and just being with what is, right? My body is in crisis. My body has something going on,
Yeah.
and I accept that, be with it,
Yes.
and then, right, tune into what it really needs from me.
Yes.
And I think that this is a powerful thing to do in addition, right, to working with a doctor, right? Working in whatever you're doing, right? Like this is not going to undermine any sort of therapy or treatment
Right.
you're doing.
Hmm. Right. It's collaborate collaborative.
It's collaborative, and it's you know it's that deep listening to the body, and maybe there is a thing, right, that will help it relax more, or, is exacerbating something, that simply by being friends with your body, being friends with whatever it is, you could get some information that might be helpful. And
Mm-hmm.
I am all for alternative healing modalities. I just want to make super clear. I'm not saying, right, take this on yourself, do it yourself, work with your doctor, work with your therapist, work with any medical practitioner. Like, those things are super important.
Yeah.
And this is another part of it.
Yeah. And pay attention to, like, is this something I really need to really pay a lot of energy attention to, and or medical, and or natural health, and or, like, what is it? You know?
Mhm.
Because there's times that I've had these extreme things happen, and it's just like, oh, I do the energy and it resolves,
Yeah.
right? And then there's times that I have extreme things happen and I need to do, like, it's medical intervention.
Yeah.
And it's like it's all comes back to discernment.
It comes back to discernment. And I mean, uh, there are, I think, people in the spiritual world that want to lean more into spirit work and do whatever, right? That free will, you get to do that. But, right, the logical, practical, tactical, scientific mind is also important in this. And,
Mhm.
right, we talk about, I mean, what we're practicing is it's like, it's practical mysticism, right? Like,
Mhm.
we're living in the day-to-day world. We have to, do the day-to-day things. And how do we bring mysticism in to support, augment, enhance our lives in this? And
Mhm.
so, from a mystic point of view, intending to a health or healing element, right? There's an extra, there's extra information, extra enhancement, right? This is where we can direct healing energy towards ourselves. Like, if we do a
Yeah.
healing on other people, we're
Right.
dialing in, and we can do that for ourselves too.
Yeah. And that's, have to say, I've really noticed in the last week, because I had some flares, I had some really challenging stuff come up, even more than usual lately. And the information I'm getting is like, because I'm an awesome healer, it's just like, but how often do I do it for myself? The
Right.
cobbler's kids have no shoes. Um, it's just like I'm putting myself last, which is a habit of healers in general and me. So am I willing to give myself that attention and show
Yeah.
up for myself in a structured way, like I would for any client?
Right.
And what I noticed in the last week is I'm on and off that horse, and, like, that's okay.
Yeah.
But I also noticed that the things that I did when I really focused on it have extraordinarily shifted. So, like, really allowing ourselves to give ourselves attention is not a popular thing. We're not socialized to do it in our society, usually, certainly women. Um, but it works, and then it helps me show up so much easier to help everybody else. I just, like, that's the great part. I
Yeah.
just want to say, yeah,
Yeah. Absolutely. Um, I think we need to take a break.
perfect time.
Thank you, We Are Historically, for your conscious human apparel. Shop online at wearehistorically.com.
Hey everyone, just a friendly reminder that on the first Tuesday of every month, we hold a Mystic Revolution meditation, and you're invited. Just go to our website and you'll find the link. We look forward to seeing you then.
Raise your vibration and energize your life with specialized Fibonacci tuning forks that deepen meditations and empower self-healing. Get your vibrational sound tools for personal enhancement at energybodytuners.com.
Hello, welcome back to Mystic Revolution. Susana and I are having a wonderful talk about healing the body, caring for the body when it's being challenged. And I'd love to hear what you want to say next, Susana.
Sure. So, I think a really challenging thing that people have sometimes is dealing with pain in the body. Now I'm a hypnotherapist, and I do actually work with people in managing pain. And that's a non-traditional way of managing pain. And some of these people are also taking medication and doing other things, right? I think that's the entwinement of different modalities, I think, is very important.
Yeah.
Um, and certainly working with energy is really really powerful sometimes in managing pain. And Wendy, I know that you have had challenges with pain, and I just wonder if you might share some of the things that you do or that work for you.
hmm I want to say, we're throwing around like this work with energy words, and I just want to say it goes together with what we've said in the last few episodes. Like it's attention, intention, focus, choice,
Yeah.
inner perception of what is and what's possible, choosing, acting. It's all the things that we're talking about, and it is, yes, moving energy, and it's also what might be called psychic healing, which is perceiving from whichever chakra, however, like for say seeing what is and seeing what's possible and how we shift that. We can do that on every level of our chakra system. So I just want to like contextualize what we're saying about like
Yeah.
what that is. Okay, so when I first started this work, I talked about how low my energy was, and I was very much in pain and dying, and a long, slow, horrible death. And one thing I noticed is that when it was time to take the next step in going into starting the classes or whatever, and then going into the core program, like my body had extreme reactions that I had to work through. Yeah, on the way to the like when I went to the core program, my back like went out. Like I just was like it hurt worse than it's just like for no reason. It was just like, we're not going. And they're just like, we're going. I was hurting so bad. I'm just like, we're going. And then I went and I asked for some help and healing, and then it resolved, and I had a great day. Sometimes resistance shows up as pain in the system and illness in the system and breaking in the system when I'm really trespassing limits that have held me.
Right.
If I'm not paying attention, it can show up in the body, and it can show up in ways that are concerning. So I think it helps to be resolving those limits consciously along the way, so that we're not just like, I'm jumping this fence and I don't care. And, because I've created a lot of yuck in my body, and I don't recommend it. It's a pain in the neck. Another thing is, when I first started this practice, I was in so much of all the pains, the physical pain, the psychic pain, the emotional pain, that I'd be in class like, oh my God, I probably have said this, like, when is the break? I'm dying. I was just like, it was so intense that I could barely stand it, but I'm just like, I'm doing it. And what I do is for like a year, my only practices on my own were like grounding, centering, and like clearing, a way to like drop a thimbleful of pain just all the time, everywhere, whenever I could, just pouring out this pain. And what I want to say is that the psychic, physical, spiritual, emotional pain, they're all very intertwined, extraordinarily intertwined. And it's very fascinating too, because the medical information about it is that the emotional pain, the physical pain are like not discernible. The same pain pills that help us with the physical pain help us with the emotional pain, which is why they're so popular to misuse, right? The same pathways in the body handle both. So they're very much resonant together. It's just important to know. And then as we drain off the psychic pain that's in our space, it really makes space for, I know this with my body, it makes more space for more comfortableness. It's not like, it's not like the pain is gone from my body, but it's so much more livable.
Right. Yeah.
And there's one more thing I do that is so important to say, if that's okay. Is that
Oh my gosh, please, yes.
so? What I noticed in this process. So first of all, I started doing the meditations. I hit some walls, but I like got help through them, and my body and life and changed so fast. I've said this before, but like within 6 months, I was able to work part-time, and the pain was acceptable, and I was able to find holistic providers that actually could help me, because up until then, for many years, and nothing would work.
Right.
And then stuff could work, because I could start to let it in my own system. So but a fascinating thing is, like, I kept doing the stuff and kept learning and kept practicing. But what I found is, and my friend helped me, one of my friends that I was training with helped me see this, that what would happen is the pain, whatever flavor, the pain would get, like, it come up and get big enough, and it would just be, I would just be like, whatever you want, like, I am not in charge anymore.
Yeah.
You win.
Yeah.
Right. And so, like, there's certain systems that learned, like, all it had to do is, like, set me on fire, and I'd be just like, the kingdom is yours. And I had to handle that. That was one of the most important turning points in my healing journey, because just like emotions or thoughts or instincts or control, that isn't allowed to drive the car.
Yeah.
And I really had to work this muscle. And what I did is, we have this thing, the famous 2 rose healing method, which I really love. So I have to show it. And it's that, I kept working with pain could dominate me. Pain could dominate me. And I kept being like, nope, I am in charge. Like, no matter how bad it is, I still am in the driver's seat, and it still is. You get to be in the back. You can inform me, but you cannot drive. And honestly, like, that was a real turning point around my capacity to be the captain of my ship, as well as to start to be able to make choices.
Yeah.
About what my life looks like, regardless of the screaming pain that might be happening.
Yeah. Wow. That's super powerful. And I mean, when I saw you kind of go, like, bow down to the pain, I mean, there is a certain amount of surrendering of, right. Okay, this is what I am here with now. This is it. People don't like to hear the word surrender. I don't mean it as, like, acquiesce, give up, give away your power, anything. It's like kind of a radical acceptance, a radical, okay, no resistance. I see you, right? I got it. I
Right.
get a
It's letting
full
go.
freaking picture of what what we're working with.
Right. Right. But this bowing
Yeah.
I'm talking about isn't surrender. It would chase me out of my body. And
I
I was
see.
working on being back in my body, being in charge of my body, life, and world. And that was really hard journey for me. I spent a lot of time outside of my body, because
Yeah.
but the more time and it's the general rule, I think, the more time I spent out of my body, the worse everything got.
Right.
Oh, it hurts too much. Okay, well, I'm not here. Well, shit goes wrong worse. And the body doesn't get what it needs more. It's like, that's not useful. Whereas coming back to the body and being here now with in the body was just a tremendously long journey, in which I still have parts that I'm still working out, but it's not like I'm here now with the body, but like, by the end of the day, I'm just like, I just want Netflix, like,
Well, let's
right?
be honest, like,
Yeah.
a lot of us do, for one reason or another.
Right. Just like,
Right?
I'm effing done with this day. Right. So, but like,
Yeah.
so the capacity is still going, but I'm here. And like, so it would throw me out. It's not
Yeah.
the pain. Can I stay with my body for the pain?
Yeah.
Even if it comes, and it's really good practice for everything else. Like, if I stay for that, I can stay with others' pain. And if I can be with my own emotions, I can be with theirs. And if I can be with, death on my left shoulder, like, Don Juan talks about, then I can be with theirs. It's very useful as a person in the world to build the capacity to deal with the crap.
Yeah. Build the capacity to be with,
Yeah. Yes.
Which is such a, I mean, I go back to a previous conversation. I mean, the practice and the provisions,
Yes.
because sometimes it's a long haul. It takes time.
Yes.
It takes time to heal from cancer. It takes time to heal a broken leg. It takes time, right? All of these things. And, what we're talking about are some tools, practices, and ways to shift perspective and direct energy that do not abandon what's
Yes.
going on.
Yes.
In
Yeah.
fact, direct more care and attention and healing from the inside out, right? And then we
Yes.
can get care and attention from medical professionals from the outside in, but like
Right.
those two or whatever, right? But those I think that this part right here that you're talking about is so important.
Mhm.
And then also, working with spirit, working with the divine, working with the God of your heart, working with angels and guides, or the gods or goddesses,
Mhm.
whatever it is. We talked about focus and intention a few times back, and that can, as we're being here now with, can I pull in divine source energy and just direct it and let this
Yeah.
part of my body bathe in it,
Yes.
even if it's in pain, even
Yeah.
if, right?
Yes. And without attachment, just give it a different vibration and see what happens.
Give it a different vibration and see what happens.
Mhm.
Yeah. And,
Yeah. Yeah.
nothing
And gosh, I have
bad is going to happen out of that.
right. I mean, like we could talk about this. We really could talk about this for a whole season. There's so much, so many tips and insights. Um,
Yes.
but I mean, I'll just pick one thing to say at the end, which is, I used to notice this said, and I used to say this a lot when I was young, like if we don't listen to life, it speaks in louder blows. And the same is true of the body. So really choosing when the house is on fire to not run away, but to stay and call the fire department and make sure the cat's out. Like it's really useful. It's useful than just to be screaming down the road and like not caring for what really needs care. And that is our opportunity to do, which is to care for our bodies.
Yeah, well, as you say, we can talk. There's a lot many more things that we can talk about related to this. And, certainly there are people that, put all of their emphasis on spiritual healing in terms of some of these things. And I think that there are some things that we can learn for that. But as we go through our day-to-day lives, and if you're engaged with a doctor or medical practitioner, I think it's, it can be helpful to do this other part too. Another chance to sort of just discover and explore and play and see what happens.
Yes, because this season is conscious creativity. Can whatever's going on. Last time we were talking about the world, crap shit happening in the world or our relationships. This time is crap shit's happening in our body. It's the same conversation, by the way, for both. And it's like, can we stay with it and play and learn and just pay attention to what is the appropriate thing for us to be doing.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, thank you for joining us. If anybody wants to share anything below or have any questions, I mean, both Wendy and I have several stories of physical healing that were got a good boost from the stuff that we're doing. Let's just say, and so happy to answer questions. But with that, let's take it out with a nice meditation.
Let's do a little of that energy work that we're talking about.
Yeah.
So, when you're ready, if it's safe, let's close our eyes and just breathe and let's just feel the body a little bit. Feel the physical body from the inside. Notice with your soul eyes what's going on, where there's tension, where there's ease. Just giving attention from the center of the head, just noticing the places that are at ease and letting that ease be full of breath and space, growing that sense of ease wherever it is in the body. And then perhaps paying attention to one place where there is tension or not disease, maybe disease or just dis-ease, disturbance, and just breathe and notice your breath flowing through there. Just allowing more space, holding and letting your attention watch, look, listen, feel for what's going on in that place. Tension is very powerful, and we talked about it in last two conversations very much. And so this is just a little bit of practice of building our muscle and directing our attention. So you're welcome to just keep playing on the inside. And Susana and I are going to say goodbye. Thanks so much for playing.
See you next time.
Thanks so much for playing with us. Please support Mystic Revolution by liking and sharing our show.
And sign up to get notified when new content is available.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Another creative art production by Retro Earth Studio.
Join us for our monthly Mystic Meditation on the first Tuesday of the month at 4:30 p.m. Pacific Time.
Click on the link in the description to get more information and join the Mystic Revolution.
We look forward to seeing you then.